Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Beast Kingdom Special Edition, Limited Edition Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Superman, part of their DAH line. The blue and red one is number 003, and then the black one is 0013. And so they're the same exact figure, that's why we're doing them in the same review. The only difference is the color, and it does make quite a big difference. The black and silver one looks pretty darn cool, aesthetically speaking, in many ways anyway. And the blue and red one looks pretty darn terrible in many ways. I will show you the differences across both figures. These were sent to me for review. These are review samples. I was told that I was going to be getting the Comic-Con stuff. I did get Comic-Con version of Wonder Woman. I don't know if these are like for the first time available at Comic-Con or what. I don't know what the deal is, but they are limited edition. Beyond that, you can go with that. I don't know. They didn't give me any information, and that's all I can tell you. So let's go ahead and get these guys off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, these guys stand just about 20.5 centimeters, which makes them just about 8 inches. They're 1/9 scale figures, which is kind of an odd scale. We're going to start here with this Superman just because that one's going to photograph a little bit better because of the colors. So I wanted to show you this guy's unique features. He has obviously the silver lining on him, which is done particularly well. It's not 100% perfect, but it is mostly very clean, and it's very metallic silver. It looks really, really good. I love the silver. The S is done mostly really well. Overall, it looks really cool. I like that. I like the silver paintwork on there. We do have gray for the boots, of course, and that's about it. For the head, we do have some shading, which is not bad. It's not a good likeness, I don't think. It's very narrow and doesn't really look like him. Except from the side, it looks kind of like him. But overall, it's missing a lot of the likeness. And then the neck isn't shaded at all, so it's missing the color that the face has. So that's a little bit weird. But I do like that red shading on the face. It looks pretty good. And so we'll leave it at that. For the cape, it's just solid black. It's a really nice spandex material. Spandex is really the best way to go. I realize you can't see that. We're losing focus. It's solid black. There we go. It's a really nice material. I love the cape, and it does have the copper wire in it. That's what the black cape looks like. And his skin tone is a lot more muted. It's a very muted skin tone. You can see against mine, even though I kind of have a pinky tone to my skin. You can see his is very much kind of a gray color. And that's it. That's the only real differences. Otherwise, everything I review about on the other guy is going to apply to this guy as well, obviously, aside from the colors. I do want to point out that his toe articulation has a black spot. Like they did half the joint in black, half in gray. So that's a little bit weird. But otherwise, we can set him aside. They all have the same exact accessories and all that kind of stuff. Now, this one is meant to look like that classic Superman. It's very much that teal light blue, which I guess is okay. Kind of a pale red. I guess that's okay. The S logo, though, seems to have 2 different shades of red on it. So we have the yellow in the background and then the red mane, but across the top there's dark red a little bit. And it looks like it would be okay if it had like comic shading, but it doesn't have any shading anywhere, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. His skin tone is very pale, so I guess maybe they're going for like the Superpowers Superman figure, the original one. I don't know, but it's a very pale figure, and he's very glossy. He's got a very glossy finish to his face. Again, no shading. Looks like he's supposed to be looking like one of those old figures. Looks very weird, honestly. He doesn't have any shading in the hair, so that's kind of a bummer. His cape, though, is that awesome material. It does still have the wire in it, and it does have the S logo on there, which is nice. So yeah, the capes are fantastic. I love these guys. The copper wire is probably too spindly to actually do much. It's mostly just going to let you kind of help adjust how it hangs. That's about it. Now, as far as accessories go, these guys both have the 2 fists that come on him in the package, 2 gripping hands, 2 kind of relaxed hands, and then 2, I don't know, pushing hands. I don't know, energy blast hands. I don't know what you want to call those, but they have those. Then they do each have a display stand that says Superman on it, ratcheting at the base, and then it has a hinge at the top, a swivel where the clamp connects. The swivel's very loose, though, so be careful with that. And then 2 claws that are just kind of pressure hinges. And so that's it for accessories. Now, as far as the articulation goes on this guy, the neck is on a ball peg, and when you use it, it just opens up a gap under the neck, so that's not very good. The head is also on a ball peg, and it's actually really solid, so it's a shame they kind of ruined it with that neck, because the head works pretty nicely. It's really decent. For the shoulders, we have very small shoulders that are not round. We're missing like the inner half. Mostly, I guess, for the articulation purposes, but we've seen millions of figures that don't require that almond shape for the shoulder, and they work just fine. Now, you do have a ball peg that goes into a sliding joint, so you can pull it out to get better range, but it doesn't help that much, so I don't get it. I would much rather have had shoulders that actually look good and that filled the gap. Plus that slip joint is very just floppy loose. So not a good design. We do have a bicep swivel, so that's okay. We have no bicep though, which is kind of weird. His triceps are sculpted okay. The biceps really don't exist. It's a very, 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 very strange anatomy problem. There's like no bicep on there. We've seen that on a few figures throughout, at least out of the ones I've reviewed, I've seen like maybe 2 that had that issue. I don't know how you sculpt a bicep like that. There's no bicep. It's odd. And then we have a hinge here, single hinge for the elbow. It's like a ball hinge, so you get only 90 degrees. You can rotate it if you want, which I guess you might, but I don't see why. The anatomy for the forearms is also very strange. I get why they did what they did based on the muscle groups, but you end up with like no muscle on the outside of the arm, and it makes the arm look curved rather than being what it is. I get it, again, that muscle groups kind of do take that shape, but if this part of the arm is going to be rather bulky, this part would be too, unless you're not Superman, but he is, so that's a little weird. Double ball peg for the wrist gives you decent range, a little bit of gapping, but that's okay. Diaphragm joint, very strange to have a perfectly straight diaphragm joint. You'd think that would line up with the muscles at least a little bit. As far as the range goes, you can go pretty far back. It's a double ball peg, but obviously that's no good because you can see inside. And then you can go pretty far forward. That's a lot better. Side to side works really well also, but you can see inside the whole time. When you have a joint like this, you have to follow this part up. It has to go up to hide the joint. That doesn't work like that. It's goofy looking. Little bit of rotation. At the waist, a little bit of rotation, a little bit more leaning forward and back, a little bit more leaning side to side. Fixed crotch piece, not floating, not soft. The hips have a hinged ball peg, and the hips are a little bit better than Batman's because they're actually sculpted in a little bit rather than just being the shape of the trunks, but it's still very awkward to pose this guy. Like it's just really weird. It's a ball peg going into a socket into a swivel with another swivel. It's all just redundant and doesn't work particularly well. So they go forward at an angle. They go back if you want them to, but you see inside his crotch, and not in a good way. And then you go out to the side, which is okay, but still awkward because they go at an angle. It's just very awkward, honestly. Oh, by the way, there is texture on the suit. It is the BVS suit, so there is that, but it's completely not paid attention to. It's completely ignored for the sake of the color scheme. And then for the knees, you have a double jointed knee, which ratchets a little bit. It's not the worst knee in the world. We've seen worse, but it's not particularly good. It looks like a Play Arts Kai knee, honestly, and it's not great. And then for the ankles, they're double ball peg. You can lean them forward a little bit. You can lean them back a little bit. You can give yourself a little bit of an ankle rocker. That's probably the best part about it. And then, of course, you can spin it around if you want to. You do have a toe hinge, which is okay. It's pretty far forward on the foot, which is how it should be, but it doesn't look like it would support any weight. So ultimately, we have a very oddly proportioned, oddly sculpted, oddly detailed Superman figure in an odd scale, and I can't figure out a reason to buy this. I can't recommend it for any particular reason. The cape is really good, but there's no way that warrants the purchase. It's not even really good because the copper is not strong enough to hold a pose. So yeah, I just cannot recommend this one at all. This one does look a little bit better, but you can see the proportions are just really, really weird. If I hide the cape, he's got like no chest, no shoulders, big thighs. It's very strange looking. It's just not. And then the shading on the head is good, but it's not on the neck or the hands. Again, the best thing about these guys is the capes, and this guy has the silver paint, but that's hardly enough to warrant the purchase. So I have to say, don't get it, guys. My honest opinion is to not get it. I'm sorry, Beast Kingdom. It's a review. I'm reviewing it. Them's the breaks. There it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up almost every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.